Well, welcome, and thanks for joining us today at the Imagine It Know-It-All virtual event. My name is Rusty Belcher, and I'm a manufacturing application engineer with Imagine It Technologies. During the next 50 minutes, I'll be covering the what's new in the Autodesk Factory Design Suite 2013 release. I won't be taking questions during the live presentation, but you'll have an opportunity to visit us in the Imagine It booth or the lounge area after the presentation. Autodesk software is fantastic. It's allowed us in the past to explore our design ideas, visualize our projects, and simulate the real-world applications and performance of our designs. Starting with our digital concept sketches into our initial 3D models, covering our simulation and documentation of our design, and even the visualization of our design. The digital prototyping solution that Autodesk has offered has worked for numerous years. But the Factory Design Suite is really the first time I have seen a complete digital prototyping solution for the entire factory design layout workflow. I've been working with factory designers for the past few years, and I am amazed at the challenges they face on a daily basis. I've said this a number of times that the factory design process represents the most difficult aspects of the architectural discipline combined with the most difficult aspects of the manufacturing discipline, all of them together, and I am amazed at what people have been able to do with the classic Autocad top-down approach. But that approach offers a lot of challenges for factory designers. It's often difficult to collaborate with all of your design team members. It's not a very efficient process when changes occur late in the design cycle. Changes late in the design cycle quite often mean you have to change numerous documents to incorporate that change, and that can be quite costly. It's very difficult to find interferences when you're using the classic top-down approach, and almost impossible to profitably implement lean manufacturing techniques. It's also quite a challenge to take that top-down approach and go out and scan or record the as-built state of an existing facility. The Factory Design Suite hopefully is going to answer all of those questions. The goals of the Factory Design Suite are simple. We want you to win more business and improve your bidding profitability. We want you to meet your schedules and deadlines. We want you to be able to adapt to changes. If you make a change in one file, that change should propagate to all the files in the design. We want you to be able to collaborate effectively with your team members. And we want to enhance your AutoCAD layout experience, not replace it, but enhance it. The Factory Design Suite does this in a number of different ways. Of course, it offers you the power of the Autodesk and AutoCAD digital prototyping solution. But it also offers you automated workflows between Inventor and AutoCAD with new bidirectional associativity. We also offer you a 3D visual layout modeling environment inside of Inventor that makes it very easy for you to add your assets to a factory floor. We offer you a number of cloud-based solutions for storing those assets and using assets from other vendors. And finally, we give you top-of-the-line visualization tools so that you can communicate your design to anyone in your team. This is a What's New presentation, so I want to cover what's new, but this might be your first time looking at the Factory Design Suite. So I've also included some of the standard things in this PowerPoint to share with you with each aspect of the Design Suite. Inside of AutoCAD, we have been able to do machine flow analysis or material flow analysis and machine utilization for quite a while. That's actually been enhanced in the 2013 release. We can now use polylines to define the path that our product takes through the facility. One of the enhancements with AutoCAD is the asset library that's now available on the cloud. There's a great number of assets that have been added and are now available in the AutoCAD environment. AutoCAD now has a bidirectional associativity with Inventor, and that's one of the major enhancements for 2013. We also can do asset chaining now. I can create a line of conveyors by simply drawing a polyline inside of AutoCAD. We can also use asset variants inside of AutoCAD. So if an asset has multiple versions, we can drop the desired version into AutoCAD at any point in time. Also important for the AutoCAD side of things with this release, a vanilla version of AutoCAD is included in the installation. So if you have a licensing set up at your office that you have a number of AutoCAD licenses along with some Factory Design Suite licenses, you can launch regular AutoCAD with the installation and only consume your AutoCAD license. Inventor has also been enhanced with the 2013 release. I mentioned before the sync workflow between Inventor and AutoCAD. But AutoCAD is really our three-dimensional floor where we can land any three-dimensional asset upright on the floor, easily drag it in place, and connect it to other assets. The large library of parametric factory assets available on the cloud has been expanded, and that's, again, one of the enhancements for 2013. Inside of AutoCAD, you can create your own assets. You can add a landing surface and connection points and publish your assets so that you can use them locally or anyone can use them if you publish them to the cloud. You can also divide up your factory into multiple areas. You can actually bring multiple designers onto the same project. Each person can be given a sub-layout and you can all work on the design at the same time. And again in 2013, Inventor now supports point clouds. So we now have the ability to place our assets in context of a laser scan point cloud of the existing facility. I've mentioned the cloud a number of times, and you're going to pick up that theme quite a bit in 2013. It is a major enhancement for all the Autodesk tools. But specifically for the Factory Design Suite, we now have what's called the Factory Asset Warehouse. This is a fantastic place where you can take your published assets and store them online so that anyone using the Factory Design Suite can search for them and use them. It's your ability to take your custom machine design and publish it to the worldwide factory design community. You can choose to put it up there and keep it private, but that's completely up to you. The Navisworks application is our engineering review tool, and there's not a major new feature for Navisworks in 2013, but it is probably the most powerful aspect of the Factory Design Suite. It allows us to bring CAD models together from various sources of our collaborative team, regardless of their CAD modeling solution, and put them together to create a factory mock-up, the entire factory, the building, all the work cells, all the machine handling equipment, all of that together in one place at one time. And then we can walk through it, fly through it. We have redline markups and measuring tools that we can analyze and publish the things that we find to the team members. It is also a fantastic place for us to find interferences. We can also simulate the construction cycle inside of Navisworks. So at any point in time during the construction phase, I could pause, we call it the timeliner, and we can actually walk around and explore what the facility would look like at a particular day in the construction cycle. The Factory Design Suite also offers powerful visualization and animation capabilities. We give you Autodesk Showcase, which is a very fast and efficient way to get photorealistic versions of your design. We give you 3ds Max Design as well, which is the state-of-the-art application offered by Autodesk for producing stunning visualizations. I'm going to finish up the PowerPoint by showing you the 3 versions of the Factory Suite that are available. The standard version is the AutoCAD-based version. Everything I'm going to show you in the presentation inside of AutoCAD is available in that version. The premium version includes the Inventor application, and the demonstration today is really going to be centered on the premium version. The only thing I'm going to do that's available only in the ultimate version is the clash detection at the end of the presentation. So that's enough of PowerPoint. Let's go ahead and get into the demonstration. I'm going to start off in my Navisworks application, and I want to set the stage for the demonstration today. I'm going to represent an employee of a system integration company. Now, our company has a custom machine building group, and we work very closely with the factory owner of the facility that you're looking at right now. We're responsible for creating a welding cell for the bucket on this end loader. This welding cell is going to fit into this facility. It needs to fit perfectly. We don't have a lot of margin in the budget. We've got to get this right the first time. I'm going to turn around and we're going to walk through the facility real quick. One of the things Navisworks does is it lets me upload models from various CAD sources all together at the same time. Now, our company, we work quite closely with a couple of subcontractors, and we're going to need to work with a subcontractor here. Here is the space that we have cleared out for our welding cell. Our welding cell has some upright robots that land on the floor, and also some overhead robots. And we're working with the subcontractor to do the overhead suspended robots for the welding cell. I'm going to walk all the way to the back of the facility so you can appreciate how big this actual file is. And we're going to finish up by looking at the assembly area where these buckets will be brought in and connected to these existing end loaders. Again, Navisworks is a fantastic application for visualizing the entire facility, and it really does help me here set the stage for our demonstration. I'm going to hop over into the Inventor application, which is part of the Factory Design Suite. The custom machine building division of my company uses Autodesk Inventor to produce any type of model we need for our system integrations. This is an example of one of the clamps that are going to hold the bucket together while the robots come in and do the welding. And they did a fantastic job here utilizing everything that Inventor does. Inventor is the state-of-the-art manufacturing modeling solution available from Autodesk. They've built in a couple of parameters here so that we can take advantage of this. This clamp comes in a couple of different variations, and I can quickly come in through the power of the parameters, and I can choose to place a single clamp or a double clamp. And you'll see the part basically update with the mirrored version of the clamp on demand just by modifying that simple little parameter. Now, I want to be able to use this design as an asset in the Factory Design Suite. The Factory Design Suite allows me to take models from various CAD sources and produce assets from them. So I'm going to jump over here into the Asset Builder. The Asset Builder is part of the Factory Design Suite. In the Asset Builder, we simply build a landing surface and connection points, and then we can use our asset, or we can use our design as an asset. So I started the landing surface command. I'll select the landing surface. I'll come in and select the insertion points. We'll just go to each corner here and add an insertion point, and I'll click OK. It's very, very easy to create assets and publish assets with the Factory Design Suite. I also want to define a connector. A little bit later in the presentation, we are going to take a look at how assets snap together, and I want to show you how that's done. A connector is basically a connection point. Any face or edge can be a connection point, and you simply align the triad so that the blue axis points upwards, and you're done. The green dot that you see there will be used as the connector later on in our presentation. We can also assign properties to our asset. We want to make sure that the people who use this asset know as much about the data as possible. So the metadata included here, the title, the company, the categories, the author, any keywords that you want to search on are available for you to plug in as well. So now that we've got the basic design, I want to make sure we cover or include our asset variants. New for 2013 is the ability to declare asset variants. And in this case, I've already got it set up, but that double parameter, we have two versions of that. We have one called single and one called double. So we'll be able to publish this, and even in Autocad, you'll be able to choose which variant you want to use. Now we're ready to publish the asset. We have to save it first. The publish process has been enhanced for the 2013 release. I'm going to publish this local, but it is possible that I could publish this to the cloud. When you publish your asset, you save it to your asset library. I've got a folder here that I'm going to use. You can take a look at the preview, or you can take a look and preview all of the information that's available with your asset. You can also declare any specific two-dimensional options if you want to use a custom sketch in AutoCAD versus the detailed sketch that you would see from Inventor you can choose to do that as well. Now I already have this particular asset, so I'm going to cancel the publishing process. So by saving the asset locally, I can use it on my machine, but I also have the option in the 2013 release to save it to the Factory Asset Warehouse. The Factory Asset Warehouse is one of the major enhancements for the 2013 release, and it allows me to save my assets online so that my own personal team can use them, or I have the opportunity to share them with the worldwide factory design community. If you save an asset to the cloud, it will be available anytime somebody searches for a particular keyword. The publishing process is very similar. You simply choose to save it to the cloud. The cloud allows you to create categories of your assets, and you can go through the publishing cycle. As I said before, anytime you do a search inside of Inventor, it searches the cloud, and if you've published assets to the cloud, they'll be available for anyone in the factory design community to use. You can also go online to the Factory Asset Warehouse directly, and you can manage your categories and your assets. You can change the metadata that's built into it. You can also declare whether it's shared publicly or not. You can also comment on assets, read the comments and the ratings that people have given your particular asset. So now that you've seen how my machine builders are utilizing Inventor to create assets, I want to jump over and take a look at the Autocad application, and let's take a look at what the system integrators are doing. The system integration group has received one of the drawings from the actual factory owner, actually went on site, did some scanning and did some retrieval work. They actually had some drawings of their facility. So we were able to bring that into AutoCAD and use it as the basis of our new cell design. I'm handling this new cell as an XREF, so I'm going to open up that very quickly. So here inside of AutoCAD, I have my new cell. This is the boundary for our cell. And I want to take a look at what the Factory Design Suite brings to the AutoCAD application. This is AutoCAD. If you're looking at it and you're saying to yourself, hey, where are all of my drawing tools? They're all right here. This is all AutoCAD. But it's been enhanced with the Factory Design Utilities. The Factory Design Utilities include a number of palettes that allow me access to those online assets I mentioned before, as well as a number of local assets that are available with the application. I'm going to begin this part of the demonstration by going to my favorites folder, and we are going to actually utilize the clamp that our machine design division created for us. This works very similar to dropping blocks inside of AutoCAD. It's exactly what is going on right here. I'm simply going to drop this in place, right click, and I'm going to drag it over. Let's drag it over right about there. This is just a rough layout of the design at this point. I have to bring in a riser. The robots are going to sit on top of that. I mentioned before asset variants. The riser comes in 3 separate sizes, so I can select it, go to the asset variant inside of AutoCAD, and choose a different size. Now I actually had the proper size first, so let me go back in and change that. We've got a couple of additional clamps that go in here, so let's bring those in. And I've got a mastic clamp that's going to go down here. And there's a set of wire welders that are out here just outside of the cell. So we're going to place those. Now I mentioned before, these are AutoCAD blocks, so anything you can do to a block, you can do to a factory asset. For instance, if I wanted to copy, I need 2 clamps up here, so we need 2 clamps. I need another clamp, another mastic clamp here. And I need 2 more wire welders here. There's also conveyors that help bring the material in and out of the facility. So let's take a look at those. I'm going to bring in a straight roller conveyor. We'll place it up here. And another straight roller conveyor right here. Now some of the items that we need to work on next actually sit on top of the riser, we're going to add the robots to that. And to do that, I need to do that inside of Inventor. You know, I work in Autocad when it makes sense. When it makes sense to work in 2D, we've got a fantastic tool like Autocad. But when I need to do things that are 3D centric, I like to do them inside of Inventor. I'm going to use the sync to Inventor command. This is a new command for 2013. It allows us to work in a one-to-one relationship with Inventor and Autocad. So inside of Inventor, you'll see the flat 2D cell populate automatically. You'll also see all of the assets populate on top of it one at a time. It's pretty neat. It takes the two-dimensional floor plan and puts it onto the floor inside of the Inventor environment, and then it puts the corresponding 3D asset on top of the 2D asset. So really in about less than a minute, we're going to have a three-dimensional version of our two-dimensional design, and that's just fantastic. Again, you'll see the three-dimensional assets appear and land on top of their 2D counterparts. So there you go. It's that easy to move from 2D to 3D. So here you can see the assets that we placed earlier inside of AutoCAD on top of their two-dimensional counterparts. Inside of the Factory Design Suite, the floor shows up automatically when you do a layout. All of the assets know to land upright on the floor based upon the landing surface that we generated earlier. Now, this is a great opportunity for me to move things around, and I think I'm going to take advantage of just how easy it is to move some of these assets. I'm looking at this particular clamp right here. I think I want to scoot it over just a little bit. So I'm just going to drag it. You just simply drag it to a new location. You can actually snap to the AutoCAD drawings that are on the floor if you want to. I'm going to right-click on this asset and use the asset variant that we set up all the way back at the beginning of the demonstration. So this particular asset is a double clamp. If you've never used 3D before and you're a little intimidated by it, I really want to encourage you not to be with the Factory Design Suite. They've actually added a number of tools that make 3D a breeze. So this is the Reposition command. So this allows me to select a point on any of my assets, and then I can have this nice little triad. I can move it a specific amount if I want, to move it back 8 inches or put it at an exact location. It's very, very easy to do. You'll see the Reposition command again here in a few minutes. Now I wanted to add the robots to our design. Now the riser is basically a foundation for the actual robot system. The 7th axis is here, and you'll notice this is another asset, and I'm going to use the connectors. This is the first time you've seen me do this. The connectors allow me to snap these things together in place, and if there's predefined parameters ready to go, the asset will resize itself automatically, fitting the asset you're snapping it to. The asset browser allows me to access all of the assets I have in my design. I'm going to use a search capability here to find the robot that I'm looking for. So this particular robot is the one we're looking at. You can search your assets. Anytime you do a search like that, it also searches online to the factory asset warehouse. I'm also going to add some additional conveyors here. If you've ever seen me give a factory demonstration before, I use conveyors quite a bit. And it's very neat to see the way these things actually snap together. I've often called it's like using those toy building bricks that you used to play with when you were a kid. The green dots actually sense one another, snapping the part in place. It saves me quite a bit of time from the classic 3D approach to do this. And I've got another straight conveyor that I'm going to place right here. Now these conveyors have parameters built into them, so I can come into the Factory Properties tool here and actually change any of the parameters that I chose to share with the designer. So in this case, I'm going to change it to a 48-inch wide conveyor. Notice that all of the assets in the string update at the same time. Now that I've done what I needed to do in 3D, I want to hop back into my two-dimensional environment. To do that, I'm going to use the Sync to AutoCAD command. I have to save my file, and then it will automatically update all of my AutoCAD drawings. You actually see it disassemble the three-dimensional environment. You'll see it update the 2D footprint, and that 2D footprint is our 2D footprint inside of AutoCAD. So we talked about how we handle change earlier in the presentation. This is fantastic. If you make a change in one aspect of the design, all of the supporting documents are going to update at the same time. I'm going to open this back up in AutoCAD so we can see that. So here we are back in our new cell, and we have everything we need to continue on with the design. Now the next thing I want to do is add a cable tray to our design, and I'm going to show you some asset chaining here. I'm going to bring in the cable tray chain asset. We'll search for that. And some of the assets in the 2013 release are enhanced with chaining capabilities. And this simply means as you drag them in, you can then draw what is a polyline that defines where the asset chain will go. Some assets are just naturally chainable, like fences or cable trays or conveyor lines. And these things will automatically chain themselves when you use that particular asset. Now, once I do that, I want to save my file, and I want to sync it back over to Inventor. Now, you'll see this asset come in onto the floor. It's the nature of all assets is that they land on the floor, and we'll move it up in the next portion of the demonstration. But I want you to pay attention as this is coming in. You're seeing a combination of standard assets, standard links, as well as custom links. The tool is smart enough to know if it can use a standard length to do that. But if it has to cut off a part or slightly lengthen a part to make it work, it will do that as well. And the custom assets that you see coming in as red, that's what signifies that it's actually a custom asset and not a standard length. So things like fences, handrails, even conveyors to an extent, it's a fantastic way to do those things. Instead of dragging them in piece by piece, you can now place them as a system of assets. Now this cable tray actually sits above the floor. So I want to come in using the Reposition command again, and we're going to lift this 112 inches. I mentioned before that the Reposition command is a great way to introduce yourself to the 3D environment. And because I move one part upwards, all the parts in the string are going to move upwards as well. So if I zoom out, you'll see the cable tray hovering above the floor. Now this takes care of the robots at the floor level. Now I want to bring in the work that the subcontractor has done for us. And to do that, I'm going to use the Insert Model command. The Insert Model command allows me to bring in models of just about any file type you can think of. If I were to expand the file types available here, of course all of the Autodesk file types are supported, including Autocad and Inventor. But CATIA V4, CATIA V5, DXF, IGES, STEP, ACES, Parasolids, Pro-E, Rhino files, SAT, STEP, and even SolidWorks files can come in. So what I'm about to do with this subcontractor data, I could do with any data given to me with those CAD formats. When you insert a model from another CAD system, the Factory Design Suite actually puts it in a bounding box and lets it land on the floor automatically. So I'm going to change my orientation here for a minute. It's a little bit easier to place this in a top-down view. And I'm going to zoom in and place the frame just inside of our fence line. Now I have the opportunity to change the orientation of this. So in case, in SolidWorks they used a different value for up or a different direction for up, it doesn't matter. I can declare which way that is going to land on my floor. Now I want to talk about the collaborative effort we've done with the overhead welding design. Our subcontractor actually was responsible for creating the frame that holds the robots up in the air, as well as the air handling system. Very important in a welding cell to get the bad air out, put the good air back in. And we had a conversation with them about this custom ductwork. This ended up to be extremely expensive. You know, I know the robots are very, very expensive, and I'd hate to get something there wrong, but those are basically out-of-the-box parts. You just hook them up and they work. The air handling system's a little bit different. We had to have all of this ductwork custom made, and it is critical that this ductwork fit into the facility correctly. Our subcontractor was so concerned with getting this right that they actually went on site instead of using going on site with a pen and paper and recording the size of the facility. They actually did a laser scan of the facility. Inventor now supports point clouds inside of the Inventor environment, so I can now bring in this laser scan and actually show you their work in context of the real-world facility. So I'm just going to go to perspective view and walk in here a little bit. So here you can see it's almost difficult to tell which is the model and which is the real-world scan. But here you can see the actual real-world scan in context of the laser scan point cloud. Very, very effective workflow to actually place your assets in context of the real-world laser scan. Now I'm going to turn that visibility of that back off, and I'm going to put myself back in my orthographic projection here. Taking your design out in the field offers a lot of challenges to factory designers, and Autodesk has a number of solutions for taking your designs out of your office and into the field. I've got a little video here which highlights some of the mobile apps that you could use for this particular process. So I've got my iPad here, and I'm going to show you the first application is Autocad WS. And this is just a fantastic way to take my 2D Autocad drawings in the field. There's a number of editing tools available, so I can edit my Autocad drawing, but I can also measure my Autocad drawing in the field wherever I'm at. So you get the actual measurement back from that, and you can do things like copy and paste blocks from one place to another. You can trim and extend lines and draw new lines if you want to redline your document while you're out on site. The other application I wanted to share with you is the design review tool for DWF. So I'm actually going to bring up the welding cell, and when I open this on my iPad, it's actually pretty neat. It tells me, hey, this is a very big file. Are you sure you want to do this? Absolutely, I do. iPad is a fantastic platform for these very lightweight DWF files. So here you can see the entire welding cell open on my iPad. I can spin it around. I can look at it from any point of view. Hop back to the original view. You can also go in, and that metadata that we stored on the parts, you can access that information in the Properties window. So this is a very, very effective way to take your design out of the office and get it out in the field while you're doing the on-site work. So to finish up my design, I'm going to sync this back to AutoCAD. I'm going to have to save my file and let it run through the sync again. Again, it's important that any change I make in the 3D file be saved back to the 2D file in case other people are utilizing that in whatever other factory design process is going on in the background. You saw this already. Basically, it's going to disassemble it, update the footprint, and then put that footprint back over inside of AutoCAD. I know it seems like it takes forever for this to happen, but if you were to consider how long it would actually take you to go in and update all of the 2D drawings in way of these changes, I think you can appreciate that 60 seconds is no time at all to look at something like this. As long as the computer is updating everything that needs to be updating, maybe I can go get a cup of coffee or something. It does a fantastic job of making sure the change propagates to all of the files in your design at the same time. So real quickly, if I hop back over inside of AutoCAD, you're going to see all of our work done. It actually creates XREFs for the overhead welding cell because they were using Factory Suite as well. And if I jump back over here to our main drawing, I can actually come in and update that reference. So even back in my main drawing, everything is ready to go. I had to manually load the reference, but in some cases it would have given me a warning to automatically load the reference. So back inside of Inventor, I want to begin the process of taking our new welding cell and seeing how it's going to fit with all of the other welding cells in the facility. And to do that, I'm going to use our Navisworks application. The Navisworks application really does catch everything and put it all into the same environment. I'm going to open up the file here. Now, for this demonstration, I've already preloaded this in place. I'll be honest with you. If I were to do this live, it would take about 2 minutes to load this into Navisworks. So just want to be upfront with you. I'm kind of cutting that 2 minutes out of our presentation. But I think you can see how fast that opened. Navisworks handles very large files with ease. It's incredible how many files you can actually put into Navisworks. The append command is what you use in order to add additional files to the design. And I'm not going to add any files, but I do want you to see how many file types are supported here. It is very impressive. All of the Autodesk tools, including DWF, Revit, MEP, all of that is included, as well as the point clouds from Leica and Faro. Even things like Google SketchUp, you can use those models with the Navisworks application. So I like to say if it's in 3D, you can use it. Navisworks allows me to investigate our design with real-time fly-through and walkthrough capabilities. Now I know via the WebEx sessions that we're looking at, what you're seeing on the screen probably looks a little jerky, but on my side it's nice and fluid as I'm walking through, taking a look inside of the welding cell. You can use pre-established viewpoints to navigate through the facility. Here's a viewpoint I use a lot in my demonstrations, and when I talk about where all this data came from. You know, I can use AutoCAD solid data, I can use AutoCAD 2D data to help me create the design. All of the welding cells you see in this presentation were generated with Inventor. If you're working with other people that, I don't care what manufacturing tool they have, typically it will export STEP, IGES, or ACES, and that stuff comes into Navisworks just fine. CATIA V4, CATIA V5, I mentioned before, all the DWF, all the Autodesk tools produce DWF files, and you can bring in those very lightweight files into Navisworks and look at it. Google SketchUp, even SolidWorks. If I were to change my elevation here, it's one of the nice things about the walking tool is that you can change it. The building was done with Revit MEP. So if you're collaborating with architects, you can bring their buildings in. Now the Factory Design Suite does come with AutoCAD architecture. So if you wanted to design your own buildings with the AutoCAD architecture that comes with the tool, you can absolutely do that. We can also fly through the facility. There is a flying mode. I'm actually just walking up in the air here. But you saw this earlier. We actually have come in now and we have put our welding cell in context of the actual facility. Now, as I come in to take a look and inspect our welding facility, I think it's kind of disheartening if I come up here and I see this sprinkler line running right through my ductwork. I mentioned before how expensive that ductwork is, but this is actually a huge benefit of the Factory Design Suite. We actually were working with another contractor to redo the sprinkler system in this area. They gave us their model. Our subcontractor gave us their model, and now for the first time these models are meeting in the digital mock-up. That's the Factory Design Suite. And I can see that clash. Now you don't see all of the clashes. This is just one that's very, very apparent. But the clash detection tools that come with Navisworks are just incredible. For instance, in this case, I've got the suspended welding system set up against the sprinkler system, and I'm going to actually run a test result and see where the clashes occur. And it actually highlights them, it zooms in and shows me just what pieces are involved and what we need or what pieces need to be fixed and modified in order to assure the success of the design. Now, fixing these things is extremely easy. There's actually a tool called Switchback, which allows me to go back and actually switch back to Inventor into this orientation. Now, for this demonstration, I'm not going to do that. I'm simply going to hop back over into Inventor and show you how easy it is for me to modify this design. I can come in and select this duct. Now this duct was created with the Factory Design Suite. Our subcontractor was using that as well. And because it's an asset, I have the parameter control over the assets. And I want to change the height of this to 30 inches. Now, just like you've seen in this demonstration a couple of times to this point, if I modify one asset, all the other assets in the string will update automatically. So here you can see the new design of the ductwork with the correct height. Now I'm going to hop back over into Navisworks, and again for this demonstration I don't want to spend a lot of time with that 2-minute reload of the file back into Navisworks. So I've actually saved a file after I modified it, so I'll go ahead and open up that one for you. And here is the modification of the file after we've modified the design. So I can come in and see that the ductwork now clears the sprinkler system and we are ready to go. You can imagine how much time and expense we just saved ourselves by finding that clash detection early in the digital mock-up of the facility. Now, having a digital mock-up or a three-dimensional version of your design offers so many downstream benefits. I have a simple little video here which shows you what you can do with the visualization tools that are part of the Factory Design Suite. This entire video you're about to see was created with Showcase in about 4 hours. Showcase is a very easy and effective way for you to present your design with photorealistic images and animations. The Factory Design Suite also includes 3ds Max Design, and there literally is nothing you can do or you can't do with 3ds Max Design. That's the tool they use to make major motion pictures and the animations you see in, some of these summer blockbuster movies. So as nice as this is, I'm going to pause this and minimize it. I also want to jump into the timeliner, which is another benefit that you get by having your three-dimensional design. The timeliner allows me to display the entire project in the context of time. I'm going to expand this so you can see it. It actually takes up quite a bit of the screen while you're building the timeline, but then I'll minimize it when we play it. The timeliner simply allows you to create a list of tasks, and then you can associate the three-dimensional models with the specific tasks. You can assign a planned start and a planned end date for each task, and you can even include the actual start and actual end date. Over to the side, you can see your project in the context of time in the chart, and you can see that as this project progresses, it actually gets quite complicated in this section with a number of different tasks going on at the same time. Now we'll minimize this here. Let's go in and take a look at what this would look like in 3D. So there's a drag option right here. I can actually drag to any particular point along the entire design. You can also play this so it'll animate itself. And in the upper left-hand corner, you actually see the date that we're looking at, as well as what process is going on and the completion percentage of each of the processes. So I want to pause this when it gets a little complicated. There you go. We've got about 5 or 6 things going on here at the same time. So at this point I can pause and I can actually walk into the design and see what's going on at this particular point. Here we are at day 57, week number 9. I've got some fence posts on the safety fence going in. We are installing a couple of overhead robots still. If I come up, we are looking, our custom ductwork is being installed above, and I can actually see in 3 dimensions what's going on at this particular point in time in the design. I also have a video I can show you which shows you one of the export options from the timeline. This video actually shows the timeline. You can save these as animations, and you can also animate, a walkthrough or a spin and give it a more cinematic effect, so you can see your design again in the context of time. Now we've just about reached the end of our demonstration, but I want you to think back on what we've covered in this short time we've been together. We actually, as you saw here inside of Navisworks, explored the entire factory digital mock-up, and were able to even simulate the construction phase with the timeline. Inside of Inventor, we were able to quickly and easily, using our assets, build this entire work cell. And back over inside of Autocad, we were able to have our drawings update automatically as the changes occurred in the three-dimensional environment. This is going to bring it to a conclusion, our demonstration today. I really want to thank you for your attention. Thanks again for spending some time with me to talk about what's new in the Autodesk Factory Design Suite 2013 release. If you'd like to know more, visit me in the Imaginate booth on the show floor. I'll be on hand for the next 20 minutes to answer your questions. Also, don't forget to check out the Networking Lounge, where you can discuss what you've seen here today with your peers and swap your ideas. Thanks again for attending the Imaginate's Know-It-All virtual event.